All right, here we are. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Rush Hour YGO podcast. You're
And
here,
start.
yeah, and you're here with your host, Mr. Sleepless, and the DJ Man. Trademark, by the way. Trademark.
Yes, trademark. Trademark.
So we're back here, and how you doing, Mr. Austin?
I'm chilling. Just got my Albaz Strike Structure deck.
Let's fucking
Uh,
go.
Honestly, think I had a dream about it last night. It's very beautiful to have, uh, and I can't wait to never use it at a locals because I work. So,
Don't worry. My locals is happening this Sunday. Are back to dual locals, and I'm gonna win it for you, baby.
oh, thanks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
Man, we need
uh,
girlfriends. What? Hold
yeah,
on. Can,
yeah.
can we say that live on the air?
I I don't know. I just let it be noted that you said it, not me.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. If anyone gets in trouble, it'll be me. Don't worry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All
yeah,
right, sick.
yeah.
So, we're just gonna jump right into this. I know it's been like at least a week and a half since, but we wanted to start off with the YCS Charlotte stream because we talked about it last week a little bit of what we were seeing, and we were halfway through. But I did my homework. I'll have you know that our Asian representative will be proud of me because I did my homework. And like quite legitimately, I watched the stream the first time, and then throughout days of the week last week, I just like went back and watched different the different matches at once, and there
Right,
was a lot of interesting matches in there.
right.
Um, so these are some of my highlights for the weekend. Was definitely the Flunderies mirror match. Even though like I literally did not know what was happening that entire time, I still found that it was pretty interesting. It's hard to watch, but
Ah, yes, just
it was
bouncing back each other's negates and
it was very hard to watch. But there's a lot of stuff in there that if you weren't paying attention, you'd miss.
oh
Um,
man.
he had interesting matchups like Despia v Prank Kids,
Ah,
Eldritch
yes.
v Prank Kids.
This is pure Edelich, by the way, right?
Yeah, the
Yep.
Jerome versus whatever that guy's name is, not my YCS champion.
Ooh.
Uh,
And then we got Drytron, Prank Kids. I
Dry-
believe that's we're talking about the Shuping match.
yeah, that was the shoot P match.
Yeah.
So the first thing that should be said about YCS, like post YCS, is definitely Prank Kids with Brave is quite powerful.
It's powerful, and players are realizing it's very boring to watch. And I know last time I was like, I hope they don't just hit Meow Meow Moo because it just kills an entire deck. There's a lot of budget players that enjoy playing Prank Kids
Mm-hmm.
uh, without the Brave Engine, but it it's just kind of one of those things. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards change all the time. Meow Meow Moo it has to get hit. It's gonna get banned. We're definitely gonna see that reduction in the Brave Engine as well, bringing Right down to two and Enchantress down to two. I think.
Yeah. It's so from my experience as a viewer watching YCS, 'cause, I've watched some of the Yu-Gi-Oh stream, especially when it was all online and everyone was doing remote duels.
Yeah.
Having I wouldn't even say 90, but like 70% of decks that were just prank kids, I as a viewer, I wanted to off myself in game, in
In game.
game,
In game.
in game, because that I think it was like the Brave Engine wasn't even for me at least. The Brave Engine wasn't that bad to watch because there was a lot of creative plays that a lot of the player participants were running to just like either get rid of it or go around
Yeah.
it or just to like it wasn't the end all be all.
Exactly.
And one of the things that a lot of people going into YCS Charlotte were worried about was Artifact Scythe, which out of all the feature matches, I think Artifact Scythe got played one time,
Yeah,
which
and
is saying something.
it goes to show like because that's why this format is the way it is. Uh, Everybody's setting up like running like the 12 to 15 hand traps, like these giant hand trap, these decks with these giant hand trap setups. It's because the threat of Scythe is there. Uh, but the threat of it's funny because like the threat of Scythe itself is like bringing down the usage of Scythe. I feel like at times, well throughout YCS at least.
Yeah, it's and it was funny. Scythe just got reprinted, and I don't even in my version of Branded Destiny. I used to run it, but I don't run it anymore because I just feel like I have so many other hand traps or things to get around it.
Exactly.
Really.
And that's again due to the format. So if Scythe or Dagda doesn't get hit in a way, we'll probably be seeing the and if the Brave Engine gets hit, we'll probably be seeing we'll probably be keeping that like 12 hand trap requirement or fulfillment for deck lists for a little while longer perhaps.
Mm. I mean, especially since there is a astute rise in like 60 card decks.
Oh yeah.
And funny enough, right? Back in the day, like when I was a newbie, like while I was still in high school, still trying to figure out what and how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I played Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid, but when you were a kid, you didn't
When
actually
you're a
like play
kid, you weren't playing
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
You were like, aha, I have my Darkness Metal Dragon from Japan, and you can't read this, but in the text it says I can destroy all of your monsters and then equip one from the graveyard.
No, dead ass. But all of mine were in Spanish because I lived in San Antonio, Texas at the time, and I remember I also was playground dueling with this one kid who just didn't understand that cards can be removed from play or banished. He thought it was all the graveyard, and he was running what are the 3 cards in Yu-Gi-Oh GX? The ones that
uh
are just the God card ripoffs.
Uriah, Haman, and then
Yeah,
I forgot what the last one, but it's Lord of Phantasms.
yeah, but it starts with an R or something. But
Raval.
yeah, but he just fucking dump everything into his graveyard and be like, yeah, they get all their effects off that. No, bro, you gotta banish that shit. But yeah, sorry.
No, that's perfect. But it's to say it's kind of the same thing where it's like, man, I remember those days, and it's definitely a lot different now, solely because searching is such a powerful and more common thing than it was
Yeah,
back in 2005, where you just put whatever cards you wanted together. It does still seem that way a little bit, where you just kind of throw cards together.
you're right.
But there's definitely some of the more interesting decks. I think like Fifth Rate Duelist said that she was going to try and win YCS Charlotte with like 51 cards or something.
51.
It was some wild number that
I think I remember that tweet.
but if she did, good on her. But
Oh man.
here's what were we even talking about? What the fuck?
I think it was more like deck variety.
Deck variety, yeah.
Yeah. So what really stood out to me outside of Prank Kids though is that we're seeing Despia pre-Albaz Strike making it like topping just like that. We're seeing pure Edelich, and we're still even seeing Drytron plays where that Drytron can still out a Prank Kids player. Like I think it's safe to say we still have like a large amount of deck variety, and these decks like could still be used and do well in the format, which is really notable. So if Prank Kids gets taken down, then it's like all these other decks have a chance to step up, whether we see Phantom Knights coming back again like we did at the beginning of the format or something like that.
Oh yeah, that was weird. We didn't see any Phantom Knights. That is
We thought we did because they misspelled it during the Drytron matchup as Phantom Knights. Well, it was the wrong PK. It was
it was the wrong PK. Fucking Phantom Knights, dude. So I know we talked about this a little bit last week, but were there any matches for you that you thought were especially chef's kiss for the weekend?
I keep referring to the Drytron matchup, the Drytron and Prank Kids game, which I really enjoyed. Couldn't always catch them because busy working in school. But yeah, it was probably that Drytron matchup. It showed a lot of ingenuity on Shu Ping's part. He prepared for the Prank Kids matchup like perfectly, taking advantage of that Auroradon, taking advantage of, I believe this is the anti-spell fragrance. No, I forgot what it is. The Gozen match. My bad. Was thinking of something else. But taking advantage of the Gozen match, and just taking a deck that got a significant hint from the banning of Ava, and still like being able to beat out a Prank Kids player like that is just and using like unique things like I was talking about earlier, the Forbidden Droplet to dodge the Imperm, like using techniques like that. It stood out to me like, hey, this deck could still be beaten down, and I think that's what we're also looking at with the Branded Despia now, because it just has so much removal with like Mirror Jade, and you could run Dragoon in it, you could run DP in it. But the Drytron match, it didn't have to run like any of those like engine cards really, which really stood out to me, just like the pure Edelich matchup as well.
A lot of them. I know for me, definitely the Despia Prank Kids matchup before Homeboy got knocked out of the running. He was in top 8 with it, and he in the matchup versus Prank Kids, you got to see just his ingenuity. By the way, I did find out in one of the other replays that he was running Destiny Hero Malicious as well as the other one, which is funny because Malicious, I have 2 copies with me right now, I honestly think Malicious is very underrated for where it is.
No, it definitely is.
Because there's just so, especially Malicious Chain Denier, if you want to run Celestial instead, that's also fine. Mm-hmm. But in one of my play tests for the Predaplant deck for Dimension Force, I run Chain Denier Malicious. Now there's like a few combos that you can do. Obviously, one of your bread and butter is normal summon Scorpio, go into Darrington Cobra to search for a fusion card.
Right.
But like once you have your Phoenix Destroyer out on the field, or like anything that's using your Destiny Hero cards, what'll happen is, because you can keep banishing Malicious and bringing it back with Chain Denier, you can just keep having more materials for just Dark Fusions. And we'll get to this part in like a few minutes when we talk about like highlight cards for YCS that we've seen. Definitely one of them is Dark Charmer Gloomy, and what is Malicious is easy material for Gloomy. It's a dark monster, and you can just use any other monster. You can just always have something on the board, as material for something else. And Malicious just does a good job at it. If Malicious ever goes up to 3, it's
gonna be crazy out here.
And no, it really is gonna be. It's gonna be crazy.
Hero players will lose it.
You can fucking go into a bounce striker with two Maliciouses and a Chain Denier.
Oh man,
Which
no,
is,
but yeah, the malicious package is so like it's so good because you don't even care if you draw into a malicious, you
yep,
know,
you always
you
use it
don't
as
even care
material for something.
exactly because he's running 3 polys right here, and
Mm-hmm.
then like 3 edge imps and then 3 patchworks. Like he's always gonna need material to make something, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's amazing. And then prepping like and he's prepping for like the Flunder matchup with like cards like Shared Ride, which are really strong against that. Just as it like shuts down their turn, but it also shuts down their turn in the middle of your turn,
Mm-hmm.
which is really important. The Phantasme is also like it's a nice little like little added like a little added spice like the little cherry on top because you also have a dark monster and you know like this format like with the prank kids cards and whatnot like you
Mm-hmm.
really take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not honestly I am surprised this deck got as far as it did, but I'm also at the same time like seeing how it's set up and seeing what we're seeing now with the Despia deck. I'm also not surprised if
It's
that makes sense.
yeah, no, it definitely does. It one thing is like Despia pre Albaz strike. It's a strong deck, but it's still missing. It still be missing the flavor. It's like you got food in the pot, and you're cooking chili, and your chili is really good, but it's just still missing that oomph, that extra spice on it.
Yeah.
And the introduction of branded fusion by itself, not even with any of the other bullshit ass cards that's in that structure deck, is 100% that extra just mm, mm.
Yeah. When I busted out my structure deck, I didn't even bother looking at the other cards. I'll be honest with you.
He's just
I
like
just went and grabbed the Branded Fusion. I was like, okay, we're gonna double sleeve this shit real quick.
double sleeves, just like I'm putting you in the good sleeves tonight.
I'm, oh yeah.
It's I'm gonna hang you on the wall. I got an extra copy. But it's just, and the funny thing is too, right? Because the Despia deck works similar to the Shadal deck, where it's a bunch of cards that activate that gets by sending them to the graveyard from other card effects.
hmm
And Branded Fusion is what? A card effect that lets you mill cards from the hand, field, or deck. Like, it's not just deck reliant, so if you ever draw into, you're like, hey man, dang, I got a dramaturge. I didn't really want to draw into it. I wanted to search it. Hey, guess what? You got Branded Fusion, the dramaturge, send your Fallen to Albez and the dramaturge to the graveyard, and then get a Lubellion and dramaturge, which just lets you negate stuff on the field.
Exactly.
That, like,
Or if you bricked really hard and you just need follow up, go into a Lubellion by sending your Despia Tragedy and your Fallen of Albaz, and you can just proc Tragedy effect off sending it, and you give yourself an Aliber and kind of just unbrick yourself.
yeah. Yeah, like, literally, this deck is crazy. And we got to see it like it's little baby for like it just hit adolescence. He was in high school, right? So had the braces on sophomore year, got pimples all on his face. Then one summer he had a glow up, was hitting the gym, joined the football team. Now he's varsity. He's going to college for his scholarship right now.
He's going to Alabama.
He's going to Alabama. That is Despia Albez right now, and it's so flexible, and you just love to see it.
Oh, absolutely.
So all right. Before we keep before we go off topic and talk about this Albez, because we can talk about Despia Albez, branded out, all that shit for
Just
hours.
rename this Albaz Strike YGO podcast.
We might have to. I'm not gonna lie. So finals. Finals is probably the most important match. Now,
Yeah.
one of the things that I want to preface this little final segment is, in one of the VODs that I was watching, definitely what came up was that it was possible that there could have been a time extension for the finals match. Instead of it being 45 minutes, it could have went up to 65. Now,
Right.
obviously, we're not the moderators or the people running the tournament, but I would have looked at the decks that are in the finals and probably made the call to shoot up to 65. So
Yeah. It's I didn't watch the finals the matches. I think I was doing something at the time, doing something else. But one thing I was thinking, like, we hear all of this stuff coming out of it, and for the most part, like, I do think that there's definitely some scuff things happening, like for Jerome, our pure Edelich player. Uh, he said while showing his deck profile, he got deck checked 4 times in a row just because he beat out people with his floodgates just like that. So they just kept deck checking him. And I'm just like, really, you did this to him like 4 times in a row. But also you got to think like this is a very long event that takes place, and then the whole thing with like
and they couldn't drink water. They also
they couldn't drink water. I was about to say that. Like,
So Elijah was definitely cheating because he had water under his desk. I saw that shit, motherfucker.
well, like the one thing that was going through my mind as you're just reading through the controversy is like this is such a long event. Like it makes sense that there's definitely going to be some slip ups, but also at the same time, you have a player that's in the finals that got deck checked 4 times, and then we have all this stuff happening in the last game of the YCS, and the judges just
where Jerome is basically the judge and moderator to the whole like my man. I feel real bad for my man Rome, not because he's black, because we could have had a black YCS champion, fantastic, but like my man is sitting there and he's like, yo, you can't do that, like, because I think Elijah's special summon, it was there can only be one, I think, was on the field.
uh-huh.
And if you don't know, there can only be one. While it's active on the field, you can only have one of each type on the field. You can't have any duplicates. So Elijah went and summoned, I think it was a pyro monster, while he already had one, or one of the pyro paint kids, while he already had that type on the field. And Jerome was like, "Yo, you can't do that." And he went over to the judges to let him know, like, "Yo, I'm telling him there's stuff that he can't do. You guys aren't paying attention. That would have been docked the penalty if he did that." And they just like, "Oh no, we're sorry." We can't really hear the judges because they're not mic'd up or anything. But they're going back and forth with Rome, and Elijah was just like, "All right, cool. I'll just put the card back and just not and just keep my turn going."
Yeah.
And there was like no penalty, no nothing for it. They're just like, all right, cool.
Cool.
And I'm sitting there watching that. I was like, bro, what?
Cool. And then like also like there's the call on Jerome for sharking. It was like he's doing the dude's job. Like
he's literally doing the judge's job in front of him. Like I'm sure that there's something that they're supposed to be doing on like the laptop and the tab. I know on the tablet from one of the overheads, one of them was keeping time.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what the dude on the laptop was doing, but if you're keeping time, it's not that important. You can pay attention to the match and kind of see what's going on.
Dog, he's live tweeting.
Like he's either live tweeting, he's like, "Oh shit, yo, the OnlyFans content popped up. Oh shit, hey yo, I'm trying to get my shit off."
Man's just watching Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds on his laptop.
I remember this dude. You say Fudo go crazy. He's like, what? Yo, y'all heard something? Time. Oh shit. Oh, we got 15 minutes.
Hey yo, this man just used pot of greed for 2 speed counter.
That's crazy. I didn't even know pot of greed was legal.
Oh, what? You need something?
Yeah, but that's crazy, by the way. That's like, I understand if it's the same judges that they've been using for their feature matches. I can understand that they're tired. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. They're humans. They're people. They're going to get tired. But it's also the finals, man. Like, if you need to rotate somebody out to get like or hire special judges for specifically to be there for finals, like that are fresh, don't need a rest up, they're good to go and are paying attention. I'd much rather have that than the same three dudes.
Right.
Not again, nothing against them. They're human. They're gonna make mistakes, but I think we definitely got gypped out of an actual game.
Even it was a prank kids game.
Yeah, like even if it's a prank kids game, like she was whack as fuck. But we still got gypped out of a game. Like I think there were a few times where Elijah just didn't declare DP in the graveyard and shit like that. And there's the description. Damn, what? That is definitely not the word, but the incident where he special summoned the prank kids off. I'm assuming off of Dasher's effect. The discrepancy.
But didn't seem to call it.
Yeah, but didn't call it or anything.
Yeah.
So you can assume that he said Dasher's effect, but they're mic'd up, but because there's commentators and the players are also mic'd, there are some things you just can't hear.
Exactly.
At the same time, so it was ass. I'll be honest with you. Fuck that. Jerome should have won. I don't even like Edelich that much. I still think he should have won.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. I'm looking at it now, like, like the first few days of controversy. Is that it just seems like everyone kind of just wants to move on from that point and see how like we could do better at our next upcoming YCS, which I believe is Hartford.
It might be
in Connecticut. So hopefully we just see those improvements. One thing I really enjoyed from the weekend that I don't think they don't get enough credit is commentary.
Oh yeah, bro. No, they were on point.
Commentary was on point. I appreciated that. It made some of the matchups like way more bearable.
Mm-hmm.
Way more.
The Flunderies mirror match. Let me tell you, that commentary. I know they were feeling it too because I was sitting here at my computer because I got home from work on that Saturday. I was like, bro, what the fuck is going on right now? And like the guys on the desk were just having fun, so I was like, you know what? I'll make do with this.
Right.
With this matchup, let's freaking get it, dude.
Right. Yeah. Commentary on point. Love you guys. Hopefully we'll see you again for the next YCS.
Mm-hmm. I think those two guys, I forget their name, but they're the ones that usually do commentary for most of these events. So I'm sure we will see them at YCS Hartford. That's good. And it's one of the great things is, especially for really any esport, but for Yu-Gi-Oh specifically, good commentary definitely makes a difference in just the viewer experience.
Yeah, it makes or breaks these events. Honestly,
mm-hmm.
Like we love the LCS so much just because like the commentary crew. You get Captain Flowers on that shit.
You get Captain Flowers. You get Kobe in that bitch.
Yeah,
and you just ride, and it doesn't matter how boring the matches or how one-sided matches are. You're guaranteed to just have a good time.
Yeah, like shit. I could sit here and watch the most boring fucking brawl in the top lane.
But
while Jinx is being a menace in the bot lane.
Yeah,
and I'll still be entertained.
It definitely makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
But
so
one last thing from the weekend is I just wanted to highlight some of the highlight cards. I know I said highlight twice, but some of the most used cards and useful cards from the weekend that really made an impact in most games. One is Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre against Brave Engine is super strong. Super strong.
Man. It's a shutdown card. Like, and then it's also a light card on top of that, so it works with so many like other decks.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Like Ghost Ogre being the OG hand trap. I remember when Ghost Ogre first came out. No one was using that shit. They was like, oh, okay, cool. It's another psychic tutor monster. But again, it's just the evolution of Yu-Gi-Oh! As the game evolves, cards come in and out of the meta, just because how the flow of the game is, and Ghost Ogre coming back to being one of the top prio hand traps. Of course, Ash is one. Ghost Bell now is probably two, and then Ghost Ogre at three. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
I'm partial to Ghost Ogre because she's my favorite out of all of them, but it's definitely a very, very strong card. Next on this list is Dark Charmer, Gloomy.
Shouldn't have. This card should not have been printed.
Bro,
it's
no,
stupid.
This card. Oh man, the amount of games that someone was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna go into Dark Charmer, Gloomy, and just take your fucking DP from the graveyard. Thanks, man.
Give me that shit." It forces. It's an awesome card just because it forces a reaction. Typically, when there would be no reaction.
Like you have to. Like if Gloomy hit, especially if you do it, because that's one of the alternate cards that you can run in the Albez deck. If you don't lock yourself out of other summons with branded fusion, if you can get a dark monster, which is fairly easy, and a different monster on the field, and you just bring Gloomy out and just take their DP, what are they gonna do about it?
Exactly. It's a dumb card.
It's
Speaking
really...
of DPE.
Oh yeah, that's next on the list. DPE, of course, probably the number one meta card right now.
Yep.
It's up there. You can see that Phoenix Destroyer was doing a lot of work.
Of course, and it's interesting how like this. I think Yu-Gi-Oh meta typically shapes around cards like this.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just like Dragoon. So it's interesting how like everyone like in their decks they always prepare some sort of out for DP or some sort of workaround, whether that's Gloomy or just something else, or if it's just as simple as Veiling or imperming the Verde.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you always have to account for.
Here's my tech for dealing with DP. If I see a Verde, I'm special summoning Brotar and summoning my fucking... Or no, not Brotar. I'm activating Heriotic Seals to special summon fucking Fallen the Albaz from my deck, and I'm just gonna take that shit.
You're just gonna super ball it?
I'm just gonna super ball them straight up.
Yeah, it's also why Super Poly is so good right now, because
you cannot respond to super polymerization.
You can't respond to Super Poly, so you just flip it up. Save that sucker, flip it up. Hey, that's a free fusion dragon right there.
That's a free fusion dragon. Be like, hey, yo, that's crazy. Oh man, my Alistair's in the graveyard. I got an invocation in hand. That DP ain't never coming back into this game.
Bane.
Straight up banished. Like, and that's great. I think DPE is even though it's very, very strong, is healthier for the game than Dragoon was. Because Dragoon, it just kind of sits there and you're just like, man.
Hey guys.
It's just yelling out hard R's at you and just like, man, I wish I could play the video game. But now with DP, you just have other options to deal with it.
Right.
Instead of it just being... Because it leaves the field. That's the most important thing, is that it leaves the field and it's not just sitting there, gaining attack and not being able to be targeted.
Yeah, and then that's your moment where you just hit it with the Called by the Grave.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Hit it with Called by the Grave. If you were playing Shadal's, once he goes to the graveyard and you send I think it's the win one, you can banish cards from the graveyard.
There's so many outs for the graveyard.
Mm-hmm. So it's not the Ghost Belly. It's not the end all be all, which is great. Next, Verde. Why is Verde still allowed? We don't know.
We don't know. It'll probably get banned.
Hopefully, one day it'll get banned, but
yeah,
I don't know why this card is still allowed.
I like Verde.
Same.
I like Verde, and a part of me just wants to say, just save your effect failures and your imperms for Verde. That's all you gotta do, man. That's all you gotta do. At the same time, I'm looking at Mr. Brave Engine over here. I'm just like, oh, oh. So I mean, it kind of it does have to go because you stop a combo, right?
Outright.
Okay, they're still just gonna go into Verde than DP, and
Yeah,
can
because
still beat you down.
even with because we're gonna talk about this later. Even with some of the options to stop the branded decks with like Contact C and Retaliating C, if you put a card on your opponent's field like Contact C, there's like, oh, thanks, yo, that's a free Verde right there. Thanks, bro. I'm like, man. So
Oh man.
It definitely has to go. Like I'm still until it gets banned, I'm still gonna use it. But
Yep.
it dog, yeah, that card is way too strong for it is own good.
Yeah. But next we have Halky Fibrax.
Getting reprinted, by the way. Yeah, no, this another card that we're sitting here like, why is this shit still allowed?
Yeah. I will say like a big part of Halky Fibrax plays is the Auroradon and the Deskbot.
Yeah. Easy.
So,
You saw it in one of the game that Elijah won in top 8 against I think it was against Charlie that was playing Tenny Sword Soul. Showed like he went immediately into Halky Fibrax, special summon the deck spot from the desk, went right into Auroradon since Auroradon special summons 3 tokens at once.
mm-hmm.
He special summoned the death spot from the graveyard, then went into Sword Soul. Which one is it? Hold on, I have it right here. It's Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Changing, and with all the cards that were banished, he gets to reduce attack, and his own attack gets increased by the amount of cards banished. And there was like at least 10 or 11 cards banished in that one game, so he just got smoked.
Yeah. But yeah, Halky Fibrax, just because it's getting reprinted now doesn't mean it won't get banned later. That's kind of my mindset to it. They might just take out the Deskbot as they typically do with some of these big tuner cards, or they might just hit the Auroradon. We'll just have to wait and see.
Because I think also in Brave Engine Synchro that people were using, they're more. The Auroradon gives you the bridge to Baron, but they're also playing Brave Engine Synchro with 60 cards, so not to say that it's bad. They I think only saw one Adventure Synchro deck that made it to top 32, and they kind of just got rolled over by Brave Prank Kids. They can't do anything.
Brave Prank Kids, yeah, Weather Washer.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing that made me mad too, cause I like Weather Washer's effect activates, and this is the finals match too, and their the reprieve in between the turn. So Weather Washer attacks, Jerome couldn't activate anything, but the damage goes through. I'm pretty sure you're able to activate card effects like once you take damage. It depends on the card, but I feel like Jerome should have been able to activate a card in response to him taking damage, and then the other prank kid could have attacked. But I don't know. It's just weird because there is the thing where the turn player has priority when it comes to effect activations and or chaining. So that also could have been a reason why Jerome couldn't activate anything. But I still feel like he got scammed out of that interaction. I'll ride for my man Jerome till we die.
Till we die.
So yeah, no, Halky Fibrax getting reprinted. Still very strong. It's funny too, like you could pretty much run Halky Fibrax into anything as long as it has a tuner.
Yeah.
And Halky Fibrax straight up one of the texts that got shown off. And I forgot what match it was, but it was one of the feature matches where you go Halky Fibrax immediately on your opponent's turn. It was against a Brave deck, Brave Plus. You immediately just go into Shooting Riser and just mill the token collector, and they can't do anything.
Yep. That's it's an icy setup. I love I love Token Collector is also just a stupid freaking card.
Yep. We did get to see a lot of Token Collector this weekend too.
Yeah.
The Token Collector activation from the hand. You saw when that player's face dropped, he was like, man. Cock.
Yeah, the Token Collector is just such a huge card. And if you're playing something like super flexible like Dragon Link, you just mill it off. You don't even have to like add it to your hand, which is like the craziest part.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even like technically it is, but it's not like a hand trap. So you just send it to the grave, send it as fodder for whatever you got going on. Like if you're using branded opening or something,
Mm-hmm.
You just send that dude, and he's still useful.
And he's still useful too. He's still useful until he gets banished. Really.
Yeah.
I know. I forgot. I forgot to put it on this list, but Token Collector definitely showed up big this weekend too, just to stop a lot of this. Just a lot of the plays with the Brave Engine, even if it doesn't stop it by itself, just having the threat of Token Collector in the game makes it, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
One Dark Ruler No More. You literally Dark Ruler No More and Forbidden Droplet. I'm just gonna put these two cards together. For turn 2, you open up Dark Ruler No More. It's I shouldn't say the game's over, but it's definitely one of those clutch cards that you have it in your hand and you're just ready to go. Especially since your opponent can't activate monster effects in response to it. It's just like, yep, mm-hmm.
And Flunder can just raw run this at 3.
Yeah, that's another thing. One of the other two of the other cards they probably go together is There Can Only Be One and Goes in Match. Goes in Match 100% was going crazy this weekend.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those things we talked about. Players being prepared for the Prank Kids matchup, understanding like how strong it is from like regionals and whatnot. So it's just one of those things being prepared for. Being prepared is gonna help you in the long run. So yeah.
Yep, that's why I have a Goes in Match side deck. Because it's funny because Goes in Match, once again we're going back to it. It has a lot of synergy with Despia Branded because a bunch of those cards are dark monsters.
Yeah.
And when you play against some archetypes that have a lot of typings, like for example, I think it's for one, Sword Soul, because a lot of Sword Soul cards, there's like water, wind, fire, earth, light, all that shit. As soon as they normal summon a monster, and you just throw up the Goes in Match, there's not really much they can do.
Exactly.
It's kind of sit there.
One of those crazy floodgates, man. Then it also can be used to stop the Brave Engine as well.
Yep. If you haven't picked up a Goes Match, I'd say go pick one of those up.
It's less than $10.
It is less than $10, and you can get a copy of There Can Only Be One because it just got reprinted. Common too. So yeah, is there anything else, like any other high impact cards that you've seen from the weekend, or are we done for the weekend?
I think outside of the Goes Match, things like droplets, not really.
Oh, don't forget Droplets getting reprinted in September.
Droplets getting reprinted, yeah. I want to say I thought I saw Regeki at some point. I might be tripping.
Maybe. Because you're not even going to use the Regeki for its effect to clear the board. You're mostly just using it to get the negate out.
Yeah.
That's 100% what Regeki's for.
Yeah. But no, nothing really up the top of my head.
Alright, sick. So we've made it to the segment. If you made it this far, congratulations. We get to talk about new stuff. New stuff coming very recently. Or coming soon, I should say.
Yeah.
Is Dimension Force is quite literally around the corner. We're about a month and a couple days out. I think it's dropping, if I do check my information here.
Should be the end of May.
Yeah, I think because the premiere for Dimension Force is May 14th and 15th, and it usually comes out the week after. So like May 20th should be around the time that Dimension Force drops.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff in there in Dimension Force that we should look out for. So let me just pull out my Dimension Force set list. Oh, I opened up Dim. Hold on, that's not the right thing. But there we go. Dimension Force set list. So we just got a lot of stuff in here. So things to highlight for Dimension Force, the main card that's on there, like the iconic card, I guess, or the card that's representing it, is a Odd Eyes Pendulum card. I don't remember which one it is.
Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon, I believe.
I'm pretty sure it's a ritual too.
Yep.
I think it's the first ritual pendulum card.
Yep. So its pendulum effect is during the end phase, you can add one ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand, then return this card to the hand. You can only use the effect of Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon once per turn. So an instant search of a ritual spell. Monster effect must be either pendulum summoned from the hand or ritual summon. You can ritual summon this card with Odd Eyes Advent. Each time your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck, inflict 300 damage to them. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell card or quick effect, you can place this card in your pendulum zone. If you do, negate that effect. Then, if this ritual summon card was placed in the pendulum zone, you can special summon one Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck.
Wait, that's actually pretty cool. What the fuck?
And it's pendulum scale set to 4.
That's not a bad pendulum scale. You can't special summon any level 4s or anything, but it's still not bad. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff in here. So one of the things that that should be mentioned is there's going to be some more zombie support. We got some crazy ass shit that's coming out in. For one of my new favorite zombie support cards, Corpse Dragon Lord Felgran, or Felgran the Undead Dragon. This thing is wild. If this card is special summon, target one monster on your opponent controls are in their graveyard, banish it. Smile. When it's special summon, that doesn't say when it's synchro summon. If a monster is special summoned from the graveyard while this card is face up on the field, target one face up monster on the field, accept this card and negate its effect until the end of this turn. And you can use each effect once per turn.
Oh yeah.
And what are you doing in those zombie decks? Special summoning from the graveyard a bunch. Because why not? But there's that. There's also the where is it? Is it? I think it's like Mad Clown or something. Or Mad Murderer, it says here. This card becomes Plague Spreader Zombie. Another option for Plague Spreader Zombie, because Plague Spreader is not really that good if we keep it a stack. But if this card is in your graveyard, you can target a level 6 or higher monster you control, decrease it by 2, and if you do special summon this card, you cannot special summon monsters while it's face up in the monster zone except zombie monsters. So I've actually been running around with this in Mayakashi, and let me tell you, it's actually pretty funny, because what you can do is if you can get Mad Zombie or Mad Murderer into the graveyard early, if you get your top in Mayakashi card, the level 11 one, you can just take 2 levels off of it and just special summon it, and with the new Link 3 Mayakashi card, which is a general card, I forgot what it's called, but on its summon, you can negate a monster effect on the field, and then you can banish it from the graveyard to special summon any zombie synchro monster in your graveyard. And there's no limitations to it. So Mad Murderer also can be used for your Link summonings, and when you chain it together with like Daka and Yuka Oni, you can very easily get a Link 3 for not doing anything, and then immediately into a Link 4 Mayakashi, because Daka will always special summon itself back when you special summon a Mayakashi monster.
Right.
So it's definitely interesting. I'm still trying to figure out what a more optimal way to get Mayakashi online. I'm running some of the because I pulled out my new and improved deck list out. But I'm definitely running Mad Murderer or Crazy Clown as it can also be called, but Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord, which
Yeah.
on your opponent's turn you can just special summon any zombie from the graveyard, from either graveyard, which is still hilarious. Let me just hit it. Oops, I am not tabbed into this window. Red Eyes. All right. How about, man, my hands do not work. Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord. Let's look at this thing. So during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you target one zombie monster in your graveyard except Red Eye's Zombie Dragon Lord. Special summon it. This card is in your graveyard. You can also banish one zombie to special summon this card from your graveyard.
Okay.
So it's similar to its former Red Eye Zombie Dragon, except you just don't have to destroy a monster to special summon
Right.
it. But it also gives you, and it's a 10, which is fairly easy to get, because I think what you can do is if you're running Eldritch, you can just summon Eldritch from the graveyard, or activates effect in the graveyard to special summon it from hand, and then you use your mad murderer or crazy clown and immediately just go into this immediately. So there's just a lot of stuff you can do. Hold on, let me just check something right quick. All right, I think I'm good now that no one's breaking into my house. So where were you? Dynamorphia?
Yeah, so I was looking at Dynamorphia a little bit. The new fusion monster, the Flood, Rex Dam. It's like a nice little floodgatey card to have it on the field. Somewhat, I wouldn't say exactly similar to Plasma, but also it has that Plasma effect that's just blanket stops.
Mm-hmm. So
Uh,
I think this is a good point to actually talk about Dynamorphia. Have you experimented with Dynamorphia at all?
a little bit. It's mainly just your typical trap control-y stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, I would rather just play Edelich at
Mm-hmm.
that point.
Yeah, because the only thing that I really have to say about Dynamorphia, it's one of those few decks similar to Edelich. It's just a bit weaker, I say, but you still have like shit like what is that?
Yeah.
Miscellaneous Saurus. Card's fucking stupid. I'm thinking about all the times that I got Miscellaneous Saurus against me. I was like, man, I fucking hate that bitch. But with Skill Drain being at 3, Dynamorphia, it straight up just abuses the fuck out of it.
Yeah,
That's
and
like
when
the
it's
main strat for Dynamorphia.
not taking advantage of their beef stick attack through Skill Dream, they also have like very useful gimmicky life points effects. Kind of like it's a gimmick deck, kind of like we see with Exo Sister. I
Mm-hmm.
think if you're playing these decks, you're not playing to like you're not playing with the expectation of you're gonna do perfectly great. This is such a OP broken meta deck. You're playing with more of the fact you're playing a waifu deck and you want to see if you can if you can get a dub with it. I think.
Mm-hmm. There's yeah, no. There's actually more Exorcist support in Dimension Force. Funny enough.
Yeah. So the new another XYZ monster. I believe is Exosister Magnifica. Magnifica, yeah. So 2 rank 4 Exosisters XYZ monsters. That's easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like the big boss monster that I think the deck needed a little needed to have outside of F-Zero. It must be XYZ summon with the above materials. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase. That's a big one to kind of like finish this 2800 attack and defense monster.
It's not bad.
You can detach 1 material from this card, banish 1 card your opponent controls. So
That's
it's
not
not a
bad.
targeted banish. It's just a straight up banish. Your opponent activates a card or quick effect, you can return one XYZ monster attached to this card as material to the extra deck. And then you can special summon that monster using this card you control as material. This is
That's
treated
not
as an
bad.
XYZ summon. Transfer this card's materials to the summoned monster.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, this is a really, really great card for the deck. I wonder if we are going to see more play with it. I hope we do. I like X Sisters. I like the gimmick. It's just if you're looking to like truly win at Yu-Gi-Oh, you're probably better off. If you really want to win, you're probably better off
Budget
just
DD
running another
deck.
Yeah, you're better off just running another deck. But it has seen some success, like taking advantage of things like the Brave Engine and just running a whole bunch of hand traps on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But this card, along with the new support coming in, Power of the Elements.
Oh, Power of the Elements is another one that's gonna be fucking insane.
Yeah, but with the new support with the new effect monster and the new trap card, I think this deck maybe becomes something at the end of the day.
Okay.
Hopefully.
I'm looking at Beyond Pendulum. Is this? It's Pendulum Sorceress. This is the card that I'm thinking of.
Oh yes.
Beyond the Pendulum. Link to monster. 2 effect monsters, including a pendulum monster. If this card is link summoned to the extra monster zone, you can pay 1,200 life points. Add 1 pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. After adding it to your hand until the end of this turn, you cannot activate monster effects. Also, the effects of your pendulum zones are negated until you pendulum summon. If 2 monsters with 2 different original levels are pendulum summoned at the same time to the zones this card points to, you can target 2 cards on the field and destroy them. That's really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I have a running theory that if they bring this back, they might bring back Metal Foes Electromite.
Oh no!
And if they do, I know there's one man in Europe that's gonna fucking lose his shit. Just literally cume everywhere. Just
No.
Fucking it's just fucking wild. There's also one thing that I forgot to mention for the zombie support. There's a Mortal Dragon, which is a level 6 synchro monster that's also a tuner, similar to what is it, Tsukimichi or something like that. It's the water level 6 tuner monster.
Yeah.
So during your main phase, you can send 1 zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this level becomes the difference between its original level and the sent monsters level. When a zombie monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So the Mortal Dragon is one of your starting bridge cards. It just opens up a lot of combos because it's a free mill on your first turn, and you know how important milling is to zombie decks. That's literally one of their whole gimmicks. Is just milling a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And if you already have Zombie World, you can mill like a Glow Bloom and immediately get your Doom King Bryonax. So
get your boy Doom King out.
Yeah, it's very easy.
One card, we also get even more branded support.
Yeah, I don't let me say this beforehand. Quite literally, from Dimension Force through Power Elements, and I think the set after that, there's guaranteed fucking branded support. And I'm like, bro, just calm the fuck down.
Hey man, Fallen Valbaz, it's for the lore.
Yeah, no, for the lore. I'm so down for the lore, but like, bro, what the fuck is going on, man?
Alright, so what we got is Alba, Renatus, the Abyssal Dragon. Alba Renatus, the Abyssal Dragon.
Wait, it's a fusion monster? What the fuck?
Level 8 fusion monster. It's
I know
dark.
exactly. Yep.
It's dark. It's a dragon. And all you need is Fallen of Albaz and 1 dragon monster. So, Dragon Link, beware. Because this card must be fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by sending the above cards from either player's monster zone to the graveyard. Either player's.
This Justin, Fallen of Albus just got a fucking contact fusion. If you thought this deck was fucking stupid, it's even more stupid now.
But this card cannot be used as fusion material.
That
This
is
card can make a number of attacks on monsters each battle phase, up to the number of materials used for its summons. So you could do more than one dragon monster, just wipe a fucking board. Uh, Once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard, because it was sent there this turn, you can add one polymerization normal spell or fusion normal spell from your deck to your hand.
I'll be honest with you. I knew this card was real. I knew
Yeah.
this card was real, but I completely forgot that it was in this set.
Right.
Yeah, no, this this shit is stupid. It's
So-
it's gonna be so good. Like, of course,
So,
dragon mono decks aren't like they're not really meta or anything. At least not anymore.
Dragon
But-
League.
Yeah, well, Dragon League. Yeah, Dragon League.
And then there'll be the one blue eyes player like, hey man, I'm
It's like,
still
I got a
here."
whole board of blue eyes. You just normal summon and say, yo, that's crazy.
Normal summon Fallen of Albas. Yeah, you were saying?
Don't even have to use its effect. You just normal summon Fallen Malbaz. And just like, hey man, thanks for the dragons, B. And you can attack
Thank-
6 times.
Oh man, that's
I think for other than its effect to clear the board of dragons, its end phase effect when it gets sent to the graveyard that lets you add any polymerization or fusion.
that's
Let
a
me
stupid
repeat
effect.
this. Fusion. Normal spell card from your deck to your hand. Yeah. Hey guys,
Yeah,
you
that's-
thought Red Eyes Fusion was stupid or Destiny Fusion was stupid? What if I can tell you? I can guarantee I have that in my hand next turn. Don't even have to fucking draw it.
Yep. Let me check something. Yep, you can search Fusion Destiny off of it too.
Yep. Because it says Fusion.
You could straight up just search Fusion Destiny off that. So, who cares if Predator Plant gets banned?
Yeah, no, like, oh, because there's another fucking card that's coming out. I'm not sure if it's in this set, but it's one of them where you can just send cards from your extra deck to the graveyard. It's an Albaz card.
Yeah, no, I know which one you're talking about.
Bro, this deck is stupid.
So if you're just using Mirror Jade's effect, you're like going second or something. You just have immediate follow up with Fusion Destiny.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And there's not really. I mean, you can still use like Ghost Bell and Ashfire on it,
Huh?
but at the same time, they're just gonna do it again.
Because this deck has an amazing grind game.
Yeah, it's just you just chip down so you just chip down the resources so easily in the Albaz deck. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Another card I would also be on the lookout for is Illegal Knight.
Oh,
For
I just saw that.
yep. So it's another brave card.
Is it actually?
Yep. So during the main phase, if you control no monsters or you control an adventure token, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. You control adventure token. Quick effect, you can target up to 2 cards your opponent controls, give them control of this card, and if you do, return those cards to the hand. So
Wait,
it is a
what?
targeted bounce. It is a targeted bounce, but still bounce up to 2 cards.
Bro, what?
In exchange for this level 7 2000 attack, 2000 defense.
You better hope to God
boy.
they don't have something to use this with. But holy fuck, bro, what?
Yeah. What I will say, it is a targeted bounce. So if you're running a card that can't be targeted, you're in the clear.
Guardian Chimera.
Yeah, it's just like a little tech card that I thought would be interesting. In comparison to like something like Draco Bat.
Bro, what the fuck?
And then we also get some more punks.
Oh yes. Ah yes.
We always love
My
more punks,
family.
so. Noe Punk Dia Note. This is
Yeah.
probably one of the big cards. You can reveal one other punk monster in your hand, special summon this card, or the real revealed card. And if you do, send the other to the graveyard. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target one punk monster in your graveyard, except level 5, a level 5 monster, special summon it, but you cannot special summon Noe Punk Dia Note for the rest of the turn. You can use each effect of Noe Punk Dia Note once per turn. So it's some more synchro good stuff. This isn't a tuner monster, which
It
gives
gives
it
the punk deck access to level 8s.
Yep.
Easily, and there's a bunch of fucking level 8s in the video game.
And let's also not forget, Punk is also getting Psychic in Punisher, which only needs one tuner and one non-tuner.
Yep.
And it's a level 11, 3,500 attack, 3,500 defense beef stick. While your life points are equal to or less than your opponent's, this synchro summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Once per turn, you can pay 1,000 life points and target one monster you control and one card your opponent controls. Banish those targets. At the start of the battle phase, you can make this card gain attack equal to the difference between both players' life points. So just big OTK removal beef stick, kind of just like I would argue this is kind of like the access code talker of synchros, in a way. Even though it's just a once per turn, 1,000, but being it also gets that added effect of being unaffected while life points are equal to or less than. It's what a big card.
Where you're playing a lot of life points to activate effects with your level 3s. Yeah, no, this shit is fucking crazy. As a current and future and ongoing and will always be Punk player, thank you, Dimension Force, for taking more of my money.
Yes.
It's funny too, because Punk is a very silly deck. It abuses the fact it abuses Hauki Fibrax, abuses Verde. It can easily OTK with the what? Why can I not think of this thing's name? I have it right here. It can easily OTK with Yuki, Yoe, Punk, Amazing Dragon if you use the strat with the fusion of Punk Rising Carp. So that's like some of the other options. The only thing it didn't have is like, you kind of fall over if your shit gets wiped.
Yeah.
But now you have answers, and a lot of them.
And a reprint on Dark Ruler.
And a reprint on Dark Ruler, and they're getting more support. Like there's going to be a level 8 Punk synchro card. I don't remember what it does. I could probably look it up, but we can just always do that later when the time comes. But they're also getting a field spell that lets you draw a card if you activated a Punk effect that costs you life points.
Right.
Which, since one of the other things is since Punk can provide a lot of control on its own with like Madam Spider and Z-Admin. Z-Admin gets you Foxtune. Foxtune lets you send a card away like Malicious to the graveyard to special summon a Punk monster straight from your deck. You got Z-Admin Madam Spider on the field. And then Madam Spider lets you pay life points to search for a negate. And if you have a phase of Punk card, you gain life points.
Yeah.
So the aspect of its control is really strong, and just small cards like and Psychic and Punisher and like the new level 5 just make it more consistent and reliable. So it's not just one. You're not just doing the one level 11 strat to end a game. You just have more options now with the 5. So like Punk Virtual World is definitely very viable, and it just got stronger.
Yep.
There's some other stuff here. Like we have two. We actually have more than that. We have Scare Claws and Theron. I have not messed around with Scare Claws, but I know a lot of it is you have all these cards on the field, and it just boosts up your one Link monster, and it does a bajillion damage.
Yeah.
And that's literally the entire gimmick for this deck. I have this Scareclaw Link 3 monster, Scareclaw Tree Shark. Must be Link summon. All face-up monsters on the field are changed to defense position, unaffected by activated effects from any defense position monster. Once per turn, if this card is in the extra monster zone, you can target a level 3 Scareclaw in your graveyard. Can't special summon for the rest of this turn except Scareclaw monsters. Also special summon it, and the monster special summon the target monster, and if you do, add a Scareclaw monster from your deck to your hand. That for a Link 3, and a bunch of these just special summon themselves. Yeah. Let's see. What is this? It's Kurimasu. Oh, you know that weird Link Xyz monster, the bear shit that lets you flip between the boards, and then if you flip it enough, you win the duel.
I do not.
So okay,
it's interesting.
It's Sekitoro Masamaru. 2 level 6 monsters. At the start of your opponent's battle phase, activate this card effect. Roll a 6-sided die. Assign the 6 main monster zones on the field to either perspective from this card in its main monster zone. A number from 1 to 6 clockwise. And move this card into a zone assigned the number of the die roll result. If a monster is in the zone, this card is moved into, attach it as material. If it's an XYZ monster, transfer the materials onto this card as well. If this card has 6 or more materials this way, the controller of this card wins the duel. If this card cannot move to a zone, or if there's a monster in a zone it is about to move to, and it cannot attach to that monster, send this card to the graveyard. This is one of those cheese cards that isn't really going to sound used, but it's still pretty funny if it happens to you. It's funny watching, but right. If it happens to you, you're the one on the receiving end of this. You're just like, man, cock.
Man.
Let's see.
Wait.
I'm not.
What am I saying? Hold on. As the resident Predaplant main, I forgot to mention this shit. We're getting new Predaplant. Hey, what is up? It's DJ. I just wanted to stop this for a quick moment. I'm a certified dumbass and forgot to unmute my audio when we were recording this part of the podcast. So we're talking about the new Predaplant support. So I'm just going to quickly go through kind of all the new Predaplant stuff that is coming with Dimension Force that you'll see in the video portion, and then this section will also be in the actual podcast portion of this. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. We're starting with Starving Venom, Predator Fusion Dragon. This card is always treated as a Predaplant. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can tribute 1 monster with a Predaplant counter on either field, and if you do, negate the activation. This fusion summon card you control is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect. Target 1 dark monster in your graveyard to special summon it. You can only use this effect of Starving Venom, Fusion Dragon once per turn. That they just said that negate is not once per turn. So if there was an easier way to get Predaplant counters onto the field, fantastic. If not, it's whatever. It doesn't really matter that much. But we got our Predaplant by Blips. I think this is the order that I did this one in. If it's not, it's fine. All of it will be on the screen for you to look at. So you got the new level 1, one of the 2 new level 1s, Predaplant Biplips. If this card is in your graveyard, or this card is sent to your graveyard, I should say, add 1 Predaplant monster from your deck to your hand, except Predaplant Biplips. If a monster with a Predaplant counter is on the field, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. So that's another add to hand synergy. You can send this away with Branded Fusion if you're running an Albrecht Predaplant setup, which I plan to do in the future. That'll be really funny. But yeah, it just lets you stack hand advantage quite nicely. But to go right in hand with that, you got Predaplant Bofulicula, which is the new Pendulum Predaplant monster that is also basically a polymerization. During your main phase, you can fusion summon 1 dark fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters in your hand or field as fusion material. You can only use this effect of Predaplant, both of these nuts, which is what we're calling it, once per turn. And its monster effect, if this card is used as material for a fusion summon and sent to the graveyard or added to the extra deck face up, add 1 dark pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand except Predaplant Bofolicula. So, this thing is going to be crazy. It has crazy amounts of synergy in Albez, Despia, literally any fusion deck that can use dark fusion monsters. This is one of those, and it's a scale 0, which lets you special summon level 1 monsters from your hand. Smile. And there's no restriction on Pendulum Summon, which should be mentioned. But then you got the new level 8 Predaplant Trianitus, which is the Praying Mantis Predaplant. Its Pendulum effect. You can use this card, and you can use cards in your Pendulum Zones as materials to fusion summon a dark fusion monster as if they were on the field. Crazy. Because there are some monsters that require level 8, and this is a level 8 that you can put in the scale, and you don't actually have to play it or have to summon it. Monster effect: if this card is used as fusion material and sent to the graveyard or added to the hand, added to the extra deck face up, place one Predaplant counter on the number of monsters on the field up to the number you control, and if you do, any of those monsters that are level 2 or higher become level 1 as long as they have a Predaplant counter. Trianitus is not as important as Biplips or Bokokufila. It's just there for the added extra Predaplant support, or extra Predaplant counter support, I should say. Then you have the level 5. This is one of your extenders for Predaplant, and it's pretty much a it starts a lot of combos, or extends your combos, I should say. Predaplant and Bolomeleodis, aka Predaplant, that one. 2 Predaplant monsters is a fusion, like I said. If this card is fusion summoned, add 1 Predaplant monster or Predap spell or trap card from your deck, graveyard, or face-up extra deck to your hand. You can target 1 monster your opponent controls with a Predaplant counter, or 1 monster you control, tribute it, and if you do, special summon 1 Predaplant monster from your deck. So, that's not a quick effect. That's an effect that you activate on your turn. It's another control card because you can get rid of monsters on your opponent's side of the field by distributing them because they have a Predaplant counter to special summon. You can extend off this because normally, especially if you're going turn 1, you're going to end up attributing this card to special summon other Predaplant cards from your deck, like special summon Scorpio, special summon Darlington Cobra, to immediately search for a fusion card. And that's pretty much it for the Predaplant stuff. And I'm going to let you guys get back to the show. Oops. One of the easy combos you can do is use Insta-Fusion. Insta-Fusion is like one of your main cards for this deck. You Insta-Fusion into the level 5 Predaplant monster, which is Predaplant, that one. Predaplant, that one lets you search any Predaplant monster that you want. So you can easily go into the new level 1, that when you send it to the graveyard, you can add another Predaplant monster, or you can go into really pretty much anything. Like, it just depends on how you want to play it, because it lets you add 1 Predaplant monster, Predap spell or trap card. And then you can tribute itself, or if you're able to get Predaplant counters on your opponent's turn, let's say you went first and you didn't have a super strong setup, but you can still interrupt them with like Predaplant Planning, which lets you mill 1, which, by the way, if you activate Predaplant Planning to send Bilips to the graveyard, not only do you get to put a Predaplant counter on all of them, but you now get to add another Predaplant monster to your hand during your opponent's turn. So you do this, you can easily go into like a Verde or something and go right into a DPE. And guess what? You have a bunch of dark monsters like Malicious and Chain Denier in the graveyard. So you know what? You can keep fusion summoning.
You just keep going.
You just keep going. And you can easily go into Guardian Chimera, because there's way to add the level 1 back to the new level 1 back to your hand, either one. and just abuse the fact that you can just keep adding cards to your hand.
Yeah.
So it's like Predaplant by itself. I'm still probably gonna run Predaplant by itself. I love this deck. It's one of those jank decks that are just haha funny.
And your opponent kind of just looks at you like,
Yeah.
you're playing what? Huh?
No, it's real funny when your opponent is like, yeah, I'm just gonna overlay using all these high level monsters or synchro summon using all these monsters, and you just set them all to one, and then you just look at them. Or
Look
with
at 'em
the
fun.
not the with Dragon Stipia, not the one that requires 3 dark monsters, but the one that requires 1 fusion and 1 dark monster. Anytime your opponent would activate a effect, any monster with a Predaplant counter, that effect immediately gets negated.
Right.
So, it's Predaplant is definitely one of those fun jank decks that with it gets even better now that the Albest support is out, because you can just abuse shit like Lubellion, and you can just abuse a bunch of cards that you wouldn't have had access to before, and it goes both ways. Let's say you were playing like branded Albez and you don't really have a like an onboard polymerization, like you're not running the field spell
Right.
for the Despia field spell. With Predaplant, both of these nuts, you now have a way to polymerization and fusion summon stuff without having spell a trap card,
Yeah.
and you just abuse these fucking levels.
It's abusing, man.
Like I haven't had a way to get a Starving Venom Predator Dragon out on the field, but with Lubellion, it'll probably be fairly easy. Because guess what? Lubellion just bounces itself back in the other materials. Because, balance. So, I'd honestly keep an eye out for some of this stuff. If you're also into Fusion but don't want to play meta but still want to play a decent Fusion deck, Predaplant is definitely a way to go.
And it sounds like it's somewhat budget now too. So
Yep, 100%. Your big beefy monster is that shit is still expensive, but everything else is fairly cheap.
yeah.
Uh,
So I think we should just wrap up with with how to deal with this branded stuff we're looking at right now.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So obviously one of the big guys you're running with the branded deck is going to be Despia. You're going to see a lot branded Despia. So how do you deal with that?
Oh, can I answer the question, Mr. Teacher
Yeah.
Man?
Yeah. DJ.
Anti-spell fragrance.
Okay. Yeah. So anti-spell fragrance. Obviously, if you're going first, it shuts down your the branded fusion. It shuts down the branded in red. So yeah, just one of those big floodgate cards right there. That just absolutely disrupts. There's also Dimensional Barrier,
Mm-hmm.
which is seeing a lot of play right now, where you can just say, "Hey, fusion monsters, yeah, you can't summon that." So if you're going up against like an invoked version of the deck, and they have Magical Meltdown, the rolling of Dimensional Barrier goes over Magical Meltdown because Dimensional Barrier isn't negating a summon;
Mm-hmm.
it's just restricting a summon. So it's such a powerful card to have. Like it stops and you get it in the structure deck itself. It's a really good answer.
Mm-hmm. There another good answer for the Albez deck, especially if this is for more of a mono dragon Albez deck. If they're not really running Despia, because of course there's so many different versions of it that you can run, which is part of what's going to be very difficult to balance this
Right.
deck. If you're running mono dragon, there can only be one. Definitely stops a lot of the Albez deck, because if let's say they're running it with Brotar, or they're running with or like a dealing version of it, there can only be one limits what cards they can actually have out on the field, and if they're running mono dragon, they can only have one dragon face up at a time, so they're kind of stuck there, looking at you, just like, wow, I wish I could do something. It's just like, yep,
Right. Right.
One of the other things is definitely Twin Twisters.
Yes.
Twin Twisters is big against this deck, and most Albaz decks or branded Despia decks should be running their own ways to clear board anyway. In them, because if you get locked out of something, or like there's a anti-spell fragrance or something on the field that stops you, it really hurts and slows it down.
You can't play Yu-Gi-Oh.
You legit can't play your own deck. But it goes both ways, where Twin Twister, you can hit their Despia field spell, so they don't have a passive just polymerization on the field.
Yeah.
You can hit their Paradise Lost, which, by the way, whenever, I know I've said this before, whenever you fusion summon, you get to add a Fallen Albaz or card that lists it in its text. So that's one of the, and also your fusion summons can't be negated on top of that.
Yeah.
So that's one of those, you have to get rid of it as soon as you can.
What a lot of players would want to do is usually set their branded in reds and set their super polys just to interrupt your turn further. Drop either take your cards or drop a Guardian Chimera on you or another Masquerade on you.
Man, that shit is so funny. Guardian Chimera is wild.
If you just Twin Twisters it, that's not going to happen to you. Or you got a Cyclone, you got a Feather Duster. I like Twin Twisters because you also have to pay cost to just send one to your grave. So if I'm playing Tri-Brigade, I'm playing Dragon Link, I'm even playing Despia. I want to see some cards in my grave. I want to see that Tragedy in my grave. I want to see a Tri-Brigade kit or perhaps a Nerval in my grave. Dragon Link, I want to see a Light or a Dark in my grave. You usually just want to see cards in your grave. So Twin Twisters is a great option. It just removes 2, and it's really cheap.
It's I just got mine. I ordered 3 copies of Twin Twister.
Yes,
within the last week.
You want it.
Yeah.
Points you want to hand trap. Really, you're trying to hit the branded fusion. You're trying to hit the branded in red.
If you can, of course, there's no way that you would know what they have in their hand turn 1. But if you feel that, like, Spriggan's Cat is definitely a decent starter, if they don't have any fusion cards in their hand, if you hit that, and that's their only play to do, their turn is pretty much over.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. But hitting those fusion cards and then hitting, like, Predaplant Verde if it comes up, those are what you want to hit instead of hitting the searches. Because half the time those searches can be a bait out. They're trying to get you to hit the Foolish Burial. They're trying to get you to hit the Alubar, so they could just use a comedy off of it. You're better off just saving your hand traps for when Lubellion comes out, or Albion comes out, or when the Branded Fusion comes out. When the Predaplant comes out, when the Branded Red comes out, shutting down the summons is biggest part of playing against the deck.
Yeah, and one thing to always remember, and this is the thing about all fusion decks, is for the most part, fusion decks aren't summoning a whole lot of monsters at once for one turn. Like, they can.
Yeah.
Especially now, more so with the Albaz Strike deck, with Lubellion being an extender, they can. But they usually will have, like, maybe 1 to 2 beat stake monsters out on the field. If you can, like, interrupt their effects and, like, get rid of them without them having a way to get them back or recov them, like taking out the Despia Field Spell, which special summons a monster when I think it's when your fusion monster gets popped. Like, get rid of that. It's hard for them to recov it. They can, but their next draws have to be important. Like, they have to get exactly what they need to recov whatever.
Yeah. You could probably get away with running less cards like Nibiru.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
like you
you're
said,
not really gonna need this.
fusion summoning is limited, but I think you could still get a Nibiru off. Uh, Ghost Bell is such a big card right now, and you can get it for under $10 still, I believe, per copy.
Or DD Crow. DD Crow is another
Or
good
Edie
option.
Crow is an option as well. So trying to just hit the summon over the search is what you want to be doing. That's managing your negates in that sort of fusion matchup is the biggest part of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Because if you mismanage the negates, then you're not.
It's gonna be very difficult. It's going to be
it's
very difficult.
It's gonna be a hard time if you do this entire 20 card Dragon Link combo or something. You got your 3 Omni negates up or whatever, your 2 or 3 negates up, and then you just waste them all on searches. And it turns out they have the cards they were searching for in their hand anyways, and you're the clown.
Oh yeah, don't also forget Dark Ruler No More hurts a lot.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
That's another card I'd run in the matchup. If you don't have it in your main, definitely side deck it.
Because what these decks do, they're prepared. These decks do is they set up these giant boards. If you just say, "All right, you cut off their access to the effects," like what are they going to do? Triple Tactics Talent is also a good one to kind of just take away. You can just take away and grab the Dragoons or the Mirror Jades.
Oh yeah, that is true. You can just unless they're very petty and they're just like, you know, fuck you, and they just Ice Jade themselves. I don't think they get their second effect off, but
yeah. Well, you don't think you can respond to Triple Tactics.
Oh, can you not? Well, this is why we have the database right here. I'm just gonna look it up right now.
Yeah. And then
the search. Oh, it looks like, so if your opponent activates a monster effect during your main phase, this turn activate one of these effects, draw 2 cards, take control of a monster into the end phase, look at your opponent's hand, choose one, and shuffle it into the deck. So they can still respond to it, but I don't think the only other negate that they have is like comedy. Like they're a lot of the Despio monsters don't have like raw monster card or spell trap card negates.
And if you have like a beef stick like board set up, they're not gonna have a Despia monster out there except Dramaturge. So
and Dramaturge cannot hit Triple Tactics Talent.
Yeah. So but yeah, that's just a little bit of like playing the deck. I know like if I get my summons, if I get like my spell cards negated, that's gonna put stuff out on the board. Game's over for me. So make sure you're saving those, saving those for those moments. But yeah.
All right. I think we're done for this week. Just man, YCS and Dimension Force got me thinking. Got me thinking. I cannot wait to go on Sunday and abuse the absolute shit out of all this Despia shit.
Yep.
Because I'm going there for blood. It's the first tournament back in my area because of a small COVID outbreak, and I am ready to get a dub, and especially with a deck that is very fun. And even though it is powerful, you can still deal with it. It's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
So,
but definitely a solid tier 1 deck.
So that's pretty much it for me. Anything for yourself?
No.
All right, sick. So that's gonna be the conclusion of our Rush Hour YGO second episode. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, checking it out. We definitely brought up a lot of good points. And Albez at least for the next month or so is still going to be on the top of everyone's brain because it's new, just came out, and there's just so much to really look at. But we'll be back next week with what we don't know. We'll figure it out.
We're just two dudes.
We're just two dudes, and that's pretty much it. So we'll see you on the next one.
All right. See ya.